so I've been trying to figure out a way to do this. My voice is done. Coming out of this flu, whatever's happened to it, my vocal cords have decided, screw it. So, if I try to talk, this is as good as it gets. And I apologize, because it sounds awful, just terrible. But apparently when I complain in this voice, I sound like a cranky old man griping about the kids these days. So here's what I've learned. The Ottawa Senators are infallible. Well, they're up 4-0 right now on Pittsburgh, so clearly they're going to win the Stanley Cup. The Pittsburgh Penguins are infallible because they're the Penguins, and Ottawa doesn't belong in the same rink that they do. So they're going to win the Stanley Cup. The Nashville Predators have Pekka Rinne, and Ryan Johansson's an amazing human being, and he's a beautiful and wonderful and strong human being. And so they're going to win the Stanley Cup. And the Anaheim Ducks are amazing and perfect and wonderful, and Ryan Kesler's amazing, and he's going to win the Stanley Cup because the Ducks are going to win the Stanley Cup. I looked through the comments on videos recently. I'm like, okay, somehow all 4 fan bases of the 4 remaining teams in the Stanley Cup aren't happy with the way that I'm watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. When I say the Ottawa Senators were lucky to lose a game 1-0, that doesn't mean the Atlantic Division was crap. That doesn't mean the Ottawa Senators are a bad team. It means you have to counteract the Pittsburgh attack better than that. And guess what? They've done it so far tonight. When I say Kessler's in Johansson's head, that doesn't mean the series is over. Because here's this wonderful thing about hockey. There are 17 other skaters. If the Nashville Predators needed Ryan Johansson to score and they couldn't win without him, they wouldn't be in the Final Four. If the Ducks needed Kessler to be their driving force every single game, he has 1 bloody goal. They're not in the Final Four. None of these people being discussed are on my board as one of the Conn Smythe winners, potentially. I don't get it. Game to game to game, things change. And tonight, the Senators are capitalizing. Fleury's having a bad game. The entire Pittsburgh defense is having a bad game. And Ottawa's capitalizing. And I'm happy about it. But it's like there's this attitude of, haha, the hockey guy was wrong. The hockey guy never said this series is over. I said they can't play that way. You can't play that game with Pittsburgh or you'll lose. The Penguins won the Cup last year in part because teams weren't able to change the narrative during a series. The Senators have been successful in changing the narrative. Pittsburgh's had trouble offensively in the first 2 games, but the chances have been there. And eventually, a team like Pittsburgh will usually break through. Now here's, I'm trying really hard not to swear right now. Here's the funniest part. On the weekend, I wanted to do videos about underdogs overcoming favorites. My favorite series of underdogs overcoming top seeds. I wanted to discuss my favorite Ottawa Senator moments, my favorite Nashville Predator moments. I wanted to, even discuss before I wasn't a fan of the Ducks anymore, when I used to be, and stuff I liked with the Ducks, and throw in some stuff about Pittsburgh while I'm at it. But it feels like whatever is said is probably gonna piss somebody off. And it's not, and I know people are gonna say, oh, you're just listening to the minority. It's a consistent, and this is a playoff thing, where fans feel that until their team is mathematically out of the playoffs, until their team has watched the clock strike 0 and they've lost 4 games and they're out of a series, they don't want to hear that their team isn't the greatest in the world. Now, here's how I see it. Ottawa fandom may be mistaking me for fans of other teams who are saying you guys don't belong here. Go back over my videos. Go back over my videos during the Boston series or during the Rangers series and tell me where I ever said Ottawa doesn't belong in this series. Ottawa doesn't deserve what they have. I had, as a Bruins fan, I had an immediate realization in that series that Ottawa was the better team and that Boston was in trouble, especially when Boston's defense got torn to pieces. The series between Ottawa and the Rangers, I had Rangers fans on me after games 3 and 4. Oh, look, the Rangers are clearly the better team. This series is over. And when fans say that, I find myself saying, wait, but it's not. No series is over. Until that 4th game is won, no series is over. And coming out of tonight's game, I expect Senators fans to come in and say, well, this series is over. It's done. Yeah. Just like after the Ducks beat the crap out of the Oilers, that it was over. Oh, wait, and then the Oilers beat the crap out of the Ducks. Then it was over, right? Yeah, I heard that on both sides. One-sided whoopings usually result in a bounce back by the other team. And I've said that the whole playoffs, and for the most part, it's happened the entire playoffs. 1 game out of 7 is 1 game out of 7. And getting a win is great, but that only adds up to 25% of what you need to do. And there is no series in this playoffs that's over. The Ottawa-Pittsburgh series won't be over after tonight. The Nashville-Anaheim series won't be over after tomorrow night. And I know Nashville fans are going to say, well, geez, if we win game 4, then we're up 3-1. You're right. Absolutely. I can do math. Logically, it should be over. Anaheim goes home, likely wins game 5. It's still a series. Teams have blown 3-1 leads before, and it's been completely unexpected every bloody time. Remember, Pittsburgh was up 3-1 against Washington. Washington destroyed them in game 5. And Caps fans came on and said, see, we're going to win this in 7. I said we're going to win this in 7. I can't believe you think Pittsburgh's better than Washington. Pittsburgh's not in the same league as Washington. Here's the bloody reality. Parity has made the NHL like this. On any given night, Team A can beat Team B. Team B can beat Team A. And sure, you look at tonight and you go, oh, well, Ottawa's killing Pittsburgh, so this series is over. No, it isn't. No series is over until that 4th loss has happened, until that 4th win has happened. And out of the 4 fan bases that are still watching their teams play, 2 of them are going to get their hearts broken. And I apologize straight out for the fact that, yeah, after a game, I'm going to say, hey, to me it looked like this happened. Because here's the thing. While I may be cheering for Ottawa and I may be cheering for the Predators, my core is with Dallas, Boston, Vancouver. My emotions, my ability to be so nervous I can't watch a game, that doesn't exist. I can watch Ottawa in overtime. I can watch Nashville in overtime. I don't have an emotional stake in this. So when I talk to you guys about these series, I don't have an emotional stake in it. I don't have one. But there have been days lately where, I've looked at the comments and I've looked at the downvotes and gone, maybe I should just stop talking about the playoffs. Maybe the best thing I can do right now for my own sanity, just talk about everything else, hockey related. And when people ask me about the playoffs, just play dumb. Just say, I don't watch the playoffs anymore. I'm done. Nah, I'm not watching it. because I've done that before. Back when Chicago beat Philly in the cup final, I didn't watch a minute of that Stanley Cup final. I didn't watch the semifinals that year either. It was fantastic. I had guys at work like, did you watch the game last night? I'm like, nope. Do you know who won? Don't care. It was great. And the year that my ex left me in 2014, I didn't watch any of the Stanley Cup playoffs because I was heartbroken and I could not watch the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I've done it. I've turned hockey off. I like discussing things with you guys. I like constructive comments. I like, here's the way I'll put it. When I say something along the lines of Ottawa looked overmatched against Pittsburgh in Game 2, if somebody says, all right, maybe, but here's what I saw, and they give me their take, I can work with that. When I get, you suck, you hate Ottawa, I'm like, I can't work with that. I can't work with that. Part of what makes this channel work, part of what makes this channel great, part of the reason why, even with my voice needing to be rested, I'm talking to you guys right now. And I rested my voice for 3 hours before this video. I've been whispering all over the house. And I still intend to do 3 more videos tonight. And I'm going to do a post-game video for tonight's game. But I am debating about whether or not I'm going to do them anymore. Part of the reason I do this is because I really enjoy talking hockey with people. And I enjoy sharing my opinion and hearing the opinion of others. And I can understand all 4 perspectives. I can understand Nashville's excitement of being in the conference final for the first time. I can understand Anaheim's excitement at feeling like this is the best chance they've had since 2007. I can understand Ottawa's excitement at the idea of bringing a Stanley Cup to Canada for the first time since 1993. At bringing the Stanley Cup to Ottawa for the first time as these Ottawa Senators. And for the first time that city's had a championship since 1927. And I can understand Penguins fans being excited at the idea of being the first back-to-back repeat champion since 1997. So I get it. But it's this weird dynamic. And I think for me the weird part is like the idea that in the Ryan Kesler Ryan Johansson fight that I have a dog in the fight. I don't like Ryan Kesler, but he does his job. And Johansson's job is to go out and play an offensive role, and he did in the last game, in part because Peter Laviolette, as a good coach, got him away from Ryan Kesler to start the game. It's like, you know what? I'm getting you out of there. It's what a good coach does. And Johansson will learn from it. But like early in the season, I thought Johansson's production and whatnot was a bit lacking. And immediately people were like, oh, you're crazy. Okay, well, it was. And he turned it up in the second half. And surprise, surprise, Nashville's in the playoffs. And he's a key player for them in the playoffs. If he produced for them in the playoffs the way that he did the first, say, half of the season, maybe they're not where they are. I never said he wasn't a good player. And that's the weird dynamic. I very rarely, if ever, say anybody's not a good player. If they're in the NHL, if they're playing in the National Hockey League, they're a good player. They're a damn good player. I mean, I've watched guys, playing junior locally that I've said, wow, maybe he'll be an NHLer someday. And maybe they ended up being a journeyman AHL player. Never saw a game in the NHL. Maybe it's like Oscar Moeller, where they played for a little while and so showed some promise, but ultimately he was not NHL caliber. That was probably the best player that I saw live in Jelliwack. And that's the nature of the beast. So I don't say any player's bad. I know lots of people seem to want to make that distinction, like player A is good, so player B's crap, and it's not that simple. It's not that simple. There's all kinds of shades of gray, and I can't, I can't say that if you put guys up one-on-one against each other, you're going to discern this tremendous difference between players. I think John Scott in the All-Star game last year, what he showed, okay, is that in a 3-on-3 tournament, if you have a big guy playing with two skilled guys, and those skilled guys know how to get that big guy the puck, that big guy can look like a star. John Scott looked like a star in that game. He was the MVP, and it was the feel-good story of the year, potentially the decade. But it shows two things. It shows that when players work together, they can all make each other look better. And that the difference between a Sidney Crosby and a John Scott, a lot of it's perception. Yeah, I know John Scott's slow, and I know he's a big guy, but he's slow by NHL standards. I can almost guarantee that 99.9% of the people who would watch this channel, subscribe to this channel, and definitely including anybody in my household, he would smoke on any of us in a speed competition on any rink. That we'd watch him skate and go, wow, he's actually really fast, because he was an NHLer. National Hockey League player. So I just wanted to do this video to explain, if I say after this game Team A looks overmatched by Team B, it's in that game. And that's it. So, yeah, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments below. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. I promise I usually have a voice. I was going to discuss something else too, because of a couple of comments that were thrown onto a video that I made yesterday, and I'll answer it, because I think there's something to be said about the worst awards given out this time of year. There are 2 awards in June that the men who receive them should say, thanks, can you give it to that other guy? And a lot of you people are going to know which awards those are, and I'm going to discuss that later. So thank you very much for watching. I had to show off my new Mr. Meeseeks shirt and my new Oilers hat. I also got a Tool shirt, but Shadow's sleeping on it. So, and Bear's sleeping on the bag because she's pretty sure there's something in that. All right, thanks for watching, guys. And I will be doing another video very, very soon. Senators fans, enjoy the game. Penguins fans, it's only one game, and that's as far as I'm going with that for now, but I will do a post-game show later. Thank you very much for watching.